former State Assemblyman Mike Gatto. Thank you both so much for being here. It's so exciting to have you.
Great to be here.
Yeah. So we're here to talk all about Little Italy of Los Angeles. And that is down in the San Pedro district of LA, for anyone who doesn't know. But it has a real history. It actually started, am I correct, in downtown LA. I thought maybe we'd set it up a little history about Italians in Los Angeles.
Sure. So, you had a lot of Italian immigration to Los Angeles, just like any of the other big cities. Of course, we typically think of New York and New Jersey and Boston and, all these cities on the Eastern Seaboard. But the reality is Los Angeles had a ton of Italian immigration too. And these folks, my ancestors, your ancestors, Councilman Buscaino's ancestors, they worked in diverse fields like winemaking and fishing, construction. And these immigrants initially settled in 2 or 3 areas in the Los Angeles area. One, of course, was downtown near Broadway. That's where my folks went. One was the San Gabriel Valley. There's little pockets there. And the largest pocket, of course, was San Pedro. And that's where Councilman Buscaino's ancestors went.
Yeah, from what I understand, Mike, your family, your dad was a coal miner? Or your
grandpa? My grandfather was a coal miner. And his path was, he came in through Pennsylvania, worked outside of Pittsburgh, and then went to Colorado, where he got an upgraded job. He wasn't working underground mining coal anymore, but he was shoveling coal into a furnace, which was a big promotion for him. And,
it's incredible. Incredible what all of our ancestors did, so that they could have a better life. And the same with us. I mean, that's the story of the immigrants, frankly. But
sure.
Go ahead.
So true.
Yeah. Joe, how about you? So you all of your family, right? They came through down in San Pedro, is that correct?
Yeah, we have to remind ourselves that the Italian immigrants came to Los Angeles for the Mediterranean climate, whether it was winery or here in our historical waterfront. They came for the ocean, the sea, to catch fish. And folks from Sicily and Ischia and Genoa came to what we know today as our LA waterfront here at the Port of Los Angeles. And that's what drove my family here to the fishing industry. I recall my nonno Gaetano sharing the story with me when he got the call from his sister, Giuseppina Lafata, and said, Gaetano, you have to come to San Pedro. There's fish to be caught here. So my nonno was able to own a fishing boat, provide for his family. And my aunts worked the canneries. The fish that was caught from my grandfather, my uncles, and my father was shipped to the canneries over at Terminal Island, and they would skin the fish, can the tuna. We often recall the story of when our aunts came home stinking like fish. They reminded us that was a smell of money.
I love that. That is so true. So you have a real memory, right, of all this down in San Pedro, don't you?
We do. We're blessed. This COVID-19, Deborah, reminds us that how blessed we are to have a family and to have each other in the midst of this crisis. In fact, my sisters are pulling up all of the traditional Italian Sicilian recipes. And my mom was FaceTiming Michelle and Sabrina how to make cannolis and how to make Italian baked goods. And, this is one story of many that's taken place here in the Italian American community in Los Angeles.
So
go ahead, Mike, go ahead.
I'm smiling because the same thing is going on in my house. It must be something in the DNA.
Right.
Yesterday, my mother found a recipe that my nonna had written down in 1970, so 40 years ago, and we've lost it for 40 years. But my mom finally had the time to go and look for this recipe. And of course, my wife's going to try making it this weekend. It's for fig cookies, which I know, Joe, your family makes as well.
Oh, that's wonderful. I hope you guys are going to invite me over for all that. All of my relatives, my family settled over in New Jersey and they stayed in New Jersey and my relatives are there. So as you know, we talked about it on Easter. Now I miss all of them over there, but we're sharing recipes, same thing. I mean, this is what you do in the day and age of technology, and particularly when we're all sequestered at home, right? Because of COVID-19. And thanks, Joe, you were also sharing some of your recipes that your family was making. I appreciated it.
Of course.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit, Mike, the original Little Italy in Los Angeles was in downtown LA. Am I correct about that?
Well, yes and no. I mean, Italians settled in many enclaves.
Okay.
I don't think there was ever a district that was named Little Italy.
Really?
There was an area of Broadway where, there was winemaking, evidenced by the San Antonio Winery, a great Italian immigrant family. There was Little Joe's, which was a famous restaurant. And of course, there's St. Peter's Italian Church, which is still there, and which my ancestors helped build, which is a really cool landmark. And it's a beautiful, beautiful church. And I encourage people to go there. But San Pedro had the concentration of Italians. And the greatest thing is that they're still there, right? I mean, this is a community that is just so full of life. It is so full of so many different cultures. And it's the closest thing. People have pointed out, my friends who come here from the East Coast, and your relatives would probably say the same thing coming from New Jersey. They would say, San Pedro, it kind of reminds me of Queens, or it kind of reminds me of Boston. You've got these really, really exciting ethnic enclaves. You've got the Croatian community, the Italian community, and they are there. They are proud. There's stores from every culture. There's restaurants. And so San Pedro is really, I think, the most authentic spot for Italians in Los Angeles.
Absolutely. And right there on the waterfront. I love that. We're at the port, and also where the cruise ships come in. I mean, what a perfect destination. So walk me through this. Little Italy, Los Angeles, finally was formed there in San Pedro. Walk me through that. How did that happen? Because I was there in this past October when you sort of had the official launching. Is that right? And I apologize for my dog, but go ahead.
It's all good. So yeah, in Los Angeles, we're blessed to be a modeled United Nations where we represent over 200 countries, hundreds of languages are spoken here. We've seen the cultural destination of visiting the El Pueblo, or visiting Koreatown, or Little Tokyo, or historic Filipino town, or what my colleague is doing in South Los Angeles with Destination Crenshaw to get the African American culture experience, and this opportunity and project is no different. Right. Los Angeles is home to the 5th largest Italian American community in the country, and it's fitting that we have a destination, a place where Italian Americans throughout this entire region can come and celebrate our contributions, our culture, our heritage. And when we kicked it off, and you and John were able to see that, we had nearly 10,000 people on 6th Street lined up, enjoying the festivities, right?
Right, easily. And they came from everywhere, Joe.
They were from everywhere. And so with this partnership with Mike and Ford, with the Little Italy Association Los Angeles, we're creating a piazza.
Let's talk about that. For those people who don't quite really know, because obviously Little Italy Association is for everybody, and Little Italy, rather, downtown, it's for everybody. It's for Italians, non-Italians, because people love Italian culture. Clearly, they love Italian food. And what we're doing down there is creating an entire area surrounded by the main street there with the restaurants and shops and the piazza. And in Italy, right, life surrounds the piazza in any little town, correct?
Yeah, that's exactly the thought. We wanted to create an area where Italians and anybody who appreciates Italian culture could come as a central focal point and a central gatherings point to celebrate the culture. The culture is so much more than, a Fendi purse and a Ferrari. There are so many nuances of Italian culture that we celebrate. And go ahead. I see you brimming with a question, Deborah.
Me? No, I'm saying it's more than that. It's also, right, it's a little Valentino and a little of everything. I mean, the culture that we have is incredible. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I mean, there's so many contributions that Italians have made over time. And we also, I mean, frankly, part of the brainchild of this came from the realization that, people might not appreciate how extensive Italian culture is. They might not grasp how much Italians contributed to America and, to the world around us. And so we wanted to make sure that the diversity of Italian culture was celebrated.
Yeah, it's beautiful. So let's talk a little bit about the piazza. Let's set it up. What does it look like? Right? It's built around, first of all, around a fountain, right? A piazza, a town square. It overlooks the water, which is beautiful, the port. Why don't you set it up for me, either of you?
Yeah, so this is a partnership with the Little Italy Association. We know that piazzas and squares around the world really bring people together, and to focus on entertainment, culture, family. we're doing the same projects, very similar in Wilmington. We're creating a town square for a Mexican American community where they're going to have a sense of place to celebrate their culture. And here we're modeling this after a Piazza. We partnered with Gensler and working alongside the community and the Little Italy Association in this Pepper Tree Plaza, where it's very underutilized today. And we're going to design it, get the community feedback, and we've offered you some preliminary design in our partnership with the Little Italy Association, as well as our Gensler partner. And it's a perfect timing because investments coming along the LA waterfront. The St. Peter Public Market will be up and running in the next year and a half. Retail, dining, entertainment. But and also, Deborah, we're using this opportunity to bring in Italian-based businesses along 6th Street. We have already 2 businesses that came in. Bono's Pizzeria, please come down and visit. The best pie, one of the best pies in LA, and La Siciliana on 6th Street that recently opened. And right now, there are contract or lease negotiations happening with one of LA's oldest Italian delis, where my 99-year-old Nonna still visits. A1 Deli is working on negotiating the lease. Yes, and today my family and friends still frequent the business, A1 Deli. Hopefully they're moving along the Little Italy as well. So a sense of place, unity, art, culture, and everything Italian.
I love that you said that because it's a full community, because we're not just having some of the best restaurants. I mean, I also know that you're in talks with the gelato company, right? Of course, authentic Italian chocolate, right? Of course. Right. I mean, there's so many just great, what you're developing once we're through all this COVID. It's been tough. I can't even imagine doing something like this and taking on something of such magnitude during a time where people are struggling. But we'll come through this, and we're going to have even magnificent a Little Italy district, there's no doubt, but also Italian wines, right? And Italian potteries and all things Italian, which is what I love.
Yeah, and let me paint a picture of this area and what we're trying to do, because it's possible that all of your viewers might not have visited San Pedro. This is a community where if you look one direction, you can see the Port of Los Angeles. And it is just such a powerful driver of economic forces in the city and the region and the Western United States. You can see them, unloading these ships where every single box on it, of course, is the size of a semi-truck. And it's fascinating, and kids love it. And it is so educational, and you can sense the commerce that's going on. You look the other direction and you see water. You see the beautiful Pacific Ocean, miles and miles of it. And this location we've got is right on the waterfront. And I'll tell you, everybody I know who comes down there who hasn't visited San Pedro, they go, oh my gosh, this is so beautiful. I didn't know this community existed, or, this is so cool. I want to buy a property here, blah, blah, blah. And I've had people remark to me, this is the last waterfront property you can get in Los Angeles that, is somewhat reasonably priced and authentic, and so on and so forth. And then, you just walk a little bit inland, and you've got these really walkable streets, these shopping districts that are just so walkable, and the streets are small, and, people are driving slowly or not driving at all and walking around, and there's a real sense of community there. So it's a really special place. And I think, as you noted, Deborah, it's a place for people to come together and get the total experience. We're going to have gelato, we're going to have wine, we're going to have pizza, we're going to have, upscale dining, we're going to have everything, little museums and boutiques. We were in talks with the Italian Sports Hall of Fame to come there. And of course, if people could come and see DiMaggio's jersey and things like that, that would be very cool too. So we're going to make this a really, really terrific area, in addition to all the wonderful things it already has going for it.
I mean, I could just think of 100 on my own. I mean, it's just very exciting. but what I love, gentlemen, is the authenticity, right? I mean, it has to have that direct link to our home country. I mean, that's just beautiful. So how has it been? Obviously, you've had to put the brakes on a little bit, right, with COVID-19. How are you getting through that? What are your plans? I mean, you must be fundraising, right? Or has that been a little tough as well? What can we do to help that?
Well, yeah, so we are fundraising, and people can visit our webpage, which is lila.org. That's LILAA.org. And they can send a contribution if they can afford it during these tough times. We're not asking anybody for money during these times. We are organizing certain charity efforts, though, because we are a charity. We are a 501c3. During the early days of the pandemic, we were helping organize drives to help people who are suffering in Italy. Right now, we're organizing drives, food drives and things for local seniors. And, in the long run, of course, we are going to get back to fundraising for this very important cause. But yeah, it has been a little bit of a challenge during these times. But, this country is going to emerge. We're going to emerge strong, and we'll get right back to work.
If I can't, yeah,
please.
on the city side, Deborah, it's a commitment that's agreed upon with the nonprofit and Mike's board and the city of Los Angeles to program the Piazza and bring cultural programming once a month. Just know the design phase is in process now. We are working, of course, with the board and the community to get input and feedback on what they want this Piazza to look like. And I'm working with the planning department to use existing technology like we're doing now to reach out, because we're leading with urgency. We don't want to take a step back in light of this pandemic. And on the screen, you can see some very, very preliminary drawings on what we plan the Piazza to look like. Again, this is going to be a sense of place for everyone to come, including our Italian American brothers and sisters in Riverside County, in Orange County, in LA County, up and down the state of California. This will be the center point for art, culture, entertainment, traditions, festas, and such.
Yeah.
And that's something that I want to build on real quick, if I may, Deborah, because I neglected to mention it. So one of the hallmarks of the Little Italy effort, of course, is an agreement with the city of Los Angeles to take over cultural programming at this wonderful piazza. And what that means is that we're going to put on an event roughly once a month. Obviously, there's no events going on during this crisis, but we're going to put on an event once a month with some very, very big events during the course of the year. Things like a festa, like the San Gennaro Festival, and other things like that. We had planned to put on a true Venetian Carnivale this year.
I was so excited about that, you guys. Oh my God, we'll do it again. We'll do it again.
And here's the thing. I mean, some people have a conception of Italian American culture and they have a misconception of it. The reality is Los Angeles even has a lot of Italians who just immigrated here in the last 5 years.
That's
and these are people who have a foot in Italy right now. They come from all over. They're business people. They're people who came here to find a better life, just like anybody else. And we want this to be a true and authentic Italian cultural experience. And that's what we're going to put on. We're going to put on cultural programming that really brings a little bit of Italy right here to Los Angeles.
But if I can piggyback on what Mike said,
go ahead. The two of you, go ahead.
This piazza is not just for Angelinos and San Pedrins. This is for everyone. I really want to reach out and thank our beloved partners, our amazing Italian Consul General Silvia Chiave, our partners in Sistema Italia, the Italy America Chamber of Commerce West, who is helping bring the business component to 6th Street in our Little Italy district. And, our friends at the museum, at the Italian American Museum, who's provided us with information and historical references. This is a collective effort among all these organizations. And we're really proud of the fact that we build a coalition of such.
This is why having a cultural center, whether it's Little Italy or you were talking about the Mexican area that you were also involved with, is so important, because we really gather together because we're excited about our tradition and our heritage. I mean, when I've been telling people about this, particularly friends of mine who are Italian or who married into Italian, they said, oh my gosh, tell me more. And I've talked to some filmmakers, as you know, we've talked about that, who are Italian. They said, wait a minute, what? How can I get involved? Seems like everyone wants to be involved, a little of the old, a little of the new, but we all share that tradition, which I love that.
For sure.
I did want to mention, by the way, you currently have a fundraiser going on, because tomorrow, folks there are making pizzas, right? And you're donating that to the front lines at Providence Hospital. Am I correct? In Torrance? And
that's right. That's the food drive that I was mentioning. And
isn't that incredible? Tell us about it.
Well, so we have a lot of people involved who genuinely care, of course, about this community and the region. And they wanted to do something in this trying time, even though, we can't be out there doing the traditional gatherings and things like that. We still wanted to do something to contribute to the community. And so we're going to be, getting some pizzas, making some pizzas and distributing them to our frontline workers, those of, in the health field who are there on the front lines of the crisis. And if you want to support it, or if people out there, your viewers want to support it, I believe you have a link or something you can put on the screen and tell people where they can go.
Yeah, no, that's actually wonderful. But moving forward on this, so the Piazza, that is the big, what we're raising money for now, in addition, if we're able to during these tough times, but we will. And once a month, we're going to be having events, if not more. You know, it was really exciting. The casino that we were having, remember, on the boat? Well, that was, come on, talk about a way to raise money. Put a bunch of Italians on a boat in a casino. It's like, there we go. That was a fun one.
COVID-19 hit.
COVID-19 hit, and God bless. Let's talk a little bit about our brothers and sisters in Italy who were so hard hit. What are you hearing from there? How we're able to help, even just as emotional support to our family and friends there?
Like Mike, I too have a family in Italy, and particularly the Palermo region, in Bagheria and Trappeto and Terracini, and we've been, thank God for technology, right? Keeping in contact via FaceTime, via Facebook messaging and such. Our hearts and prayers go out to the thousands of Italians who were lost amidst this virus, and we are able to really learn a lot as local leaders, national leaders, state leaders, on what to do in light of what took place in Italy and abroad. And with that, you know, our if I can say in Italian, per tutti italiani cittadini, ti mando un abbraccio. Lo so che siamo troppo lontano, però siamo vicino in cuore. I know that we are so far away, but very close at heart. And our thoughts and prayers go out with you. And we're hopeful that the economy in Italy, as you know, it's one of the top tourist locations in the world, that it gets restarted quickly. But we have to make sure that it's done so in a safe and deliberate way.
Yeah. Mike, do you have any words about that?
Yeah, you know, it's really interesting because for a while there, you know, we went through this little bit of a lull in this country where people out there were not taking this disease that seriously. And, you know, I posted something on my Facebook page where I just wanted to give people a little window of this. And this was early on. This was before we had closed down here in this country. I said, you know, my grandfather came from a little tiny town high up in the mountains. I mean, 3,000 people throughout history, 3,000 people in the year 100 AD, 3,000 people now. It's really, you know, isolated, and it's really far up in the mountains. And, you know, I posted images of, you know, the government sent men in full white, you know, hazmat suits to spray the entire town with a bleach solution. And
that was incredible. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
You know, you can, and by the way, this is about a month and a half ago, before Americans could even imagine, you know, what we were about to face. And, you know, Italy really faced this pandemic before us. And as Joe said, we are learning from what they had to go through. And, you know, it's kind of a shame, you know, obviously, to see what's going on all around the world. Here, there, you feel for everybody. You know, there you have a culture that's very much religious. It's very much a culture that lives life outdoors. And to tell people that they can't go to church or they can't set foot in a town square has been really tough. And it's tough for Americans. It's tough for Chinese. Right. You know, it's tough for everybody around the world who's going through this very difficult time.
Yeah. Well, that's why we're working so hard with a very committed board, I have to say. The Little Italy of Los Angeles Association board is so active. In fact, they had so many ideas that we're going to be taking part of in the future for this podcast. Which is very exciting because it's a real collaborative effort, which is wonderful. And we're going to be including all the people who've come from Italy, who have so many ideas for our podcast to get it out there, you know, to talk about all the different programs that we have set. I loved what we did. When did we have that in the Piazza? About 2 months ago, right? The Carnival, was that what we had? What did you call it? Where they were, you know, we had some music and singing and dancing and a couple of vendors.
February. The Carnivale, right?
Right, and that was just the very last event we were able to have. And as I stood there in the Piazza, and as you described earlier, and looked out the water, I just thought, my gosh, this is going to be so unique, actually, and so beautiful to get the entire community of Los Angeles down there. And I love that you're drawing in the historical perspective from times past and future. I love that. And also, you've got housing down there too, right? Aren't you building condos, apartments? What do we have there? Guys, are you still there? Or did we
No,
lose?
I don't know if
Oh.
if Joe's audio is still there. Joe can hear me. Okay.
I can hear you now. I
Okay.
can hear you now.
Got you. Okay.
I missed the question.
Asked about the wonderful things that the city or the community is doing with respect to housing, and I think that's more of an answer that you can answer. It's more of your alley than Little Italy.
Yeah. So we know today that our hotels are sitting vacant, and we've heeded the call from the county to fill our hotel rooms with the most vulnerable senior homeless population in the city. And tomorrow we're opening a 103-bed hotel for the senior homeless individuals. Tomorrow we'll be opening 103 beds hotels bed here in San Pedro to move the senior homeless individuals from the sidewalks into a safe place, a secured place with services, a hot meal and a shower. And we're hopeful that other hotels in this entire region follows.
So much need, guys. There's just so much need, and I love that you're doing that. But you also have developed new housing, right? That I saw when I was there the other day. Is that correct?
I lost him again.
Mike, maybe you can answer
Yeah,
to that. We seem to be losing Joe a little bit.
But that's fine because I can toot his own horn. I can toot his horn better than he can toot his own horn. So
that's
yeah,
right.
I mean, the San Pedro area is really just exploding activity. And if I might say, like I said, I'll toot his own horn because I know he won't toot his own horn. But it's due to the leadership of Councilman Buscaino. You go there and you've got a tremendous amount of new housing going in. You've got beautiful condos with ocean views. You've got a tremendous amount of excitement. You can sense the excitement when you go there. Almost on every block, there's a new business or a new housing development going in.
Well, I have to tell you, when John and I were there, we thought, hey, wait a minute. We can get a little condo here. That'd be fun on the weekends to come there and just and we don't live far. We live in Los Angeles. But that's another thing. A lot of people, even if they're looking for a second destination, if they live a little further up north in Los Angeles, it's fantastic. So a little bit from both of you, whoever wants to go first. Tell me a little bit about what means the most to you about being Italian and some of your greatest memories, even as a kid.
Okay, so I'll go first. So for me, being Italian means being a member of a culture with 2,500 years of history, and a culture that has contributed so much to the world.
Yeah.
I studied Roman history, and I was struck by how many things our country borrowed from ancient Rome. People know Rome was an empire, of course, but before it was an empire, it was republic. And the Roman Republic had a Senate, it had a Supreme Court, it had a House of Representatives, and it had two chief executives, almost like a president and vice president. And our founding fathers borrowed that from the great minds of the Roman Republic. And there's so much, in the course of our history. And, obviously I've just, scratched the surface, but you go through the Renaissance and you go through modern times, all the wonderful art and design and thought. That's what it means to me being Italian, being a member of that tremendous culture that contributed so much. It also means being a welcoming culture. It breaks my heart when people seek to divide us, especially when Italy has for so many years, for thousands of years, been a place where refugees would come and would be welcomed with open arms. Regis Philbin, his family is a member of Albanians who are persecuted because of their faith in their country, who then went to Italy in the 1600s and were welcomed by the population during a time where there was no religious tolerance in too many places in the world. And so it means being a part of a long culture. It means tolerance and welcomes for other faith. And then, of course, in modern times, more close to home, it means tremendous family relationships.
Yeah. So do we have Joe up yet? Is Joe struggling with his feed?
Am I on?
There you are. We've got him back.
Yes,
By the way, everybody,
so.
we're going to have both of you in studio once we can meet again. Okay.
Hello?
This is our first little test. What's that?
It's coming in and out.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure why that's happening, but that's okay. It's okay. We'll be patient with it. How about with you? Tell me a little bit about the history in your own family that is most important to you. Maybe even a super fun time. Is it cooking? What is it?
Well, I think we lost you.
I think we lost him. If it's on our end, Kurt, because I have an engineer working on this, let's see if we can get him back.
How's this? Better?
Is that better?
Hello, hello.
All right, while we've got you, go. Go ahead, Joe.
So I think I know what you're asking. The history of Italian, what the history of Italian American means to me and my family. Yeah. Look, Deborah, we have to never forget our story. If you look at the first Italians who came to this country, they too suffered prejudice and hostility in their struggle to achieve the American dream. And I'm often reminded that, you know, when my grandfather came and my mom and dad came here and my grandparents and my aunts and uncles, they came to this city to provide them a better life. They came to the city to work, to provide for their kids, to ensure that they have a good upbringing and a successful life. To be able to have a sense of place to tell our story is so important for me and for the Italian Americans in this region. I'm also encouraged to know that there, since the launch of the Little Italy Foundation and this Little Italy District, there's been a sense of new leadership, a new generation of leadership emerging in our Italian American community, from Orange County to Riverside to LA. They're all coming together to ensure that we are able to celebrate who we are, celebrate our stories, and ensure that we remember our contributions to the city, to this region, to this country.
Yeah. I'll go if you don't mind. You know, only a year, not even a year and a half ago, we've gone to Italy many, many times, but my parents didn't have much money and they never, ever got back to where their families came from. So when my parents died a couple of years ago, we decided to go back and find where my grandparents all came from. We went to this little village outside of Avellino, which is outside of Naples. And they were so welcoming. I felt like I knew them and I grew up with them. And so that's part of the whole Italian culture. I may not have met them in person, but I felt like I've known them my whole life, you know? And it was a beautiful thing. It actually brings tears to my eyes when I think about it, because my parents would have loved the experience, but I feel like I carried that on, and hopefully that they know I did that. But other than that, I have so many memories of my parents cooking. My parents seemed to cook day and night. As a little kid, I used to think there was like an eggplant or a lasagna under the bed because they managed to pull it out when anybody came over. And I would think, where was that? But right. And I'm now trying to carry that tradition on. That one passed me over a little bit. I'm not the greatest cook, but I do my best. So we all have great stories steeped in the tradition, and the work that both of you have done to get this going is fantastic for us and for generations to come, and honoring those who came before us. So that I applaud you both, gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's talk a little bit about next show. Do you guys know who's on our next show?
We don't.
Okay, then I'll surprise you and I'll let you know.
Love it if it would be us in studio, you know, but we've got a really exciting board, and I'm sure there's lots of people and lots of
can you hear me?
People involved who could be on it.
Yeah, we've got you. We've got you. Go ahead.
Well, my kids want Lady Gaga on the show. I go, I don't know, guys. I don't know if we can get her. She's really proud of her Italian roots, but maybe we can land Lady Gaga.
Let me tell you, we could reach in and get some folks, I think, because there's always somebody who knows somebody, especially in the Italian tradition. Lady Gaga, I know, I'm so sorry, but I will tell you, I promise we're going to do this in studio again, guys, so that we won't have any technical difficulties. Lady Gaga would be a great reach. Joe, can you hear Mike, can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine. And I was going to say, I mean, you know, other wonderful celebrities to get on would be, you know, somebody like Quentin Tarantino talked about his filmmaking career, you know, and I know, Deborah, I know you know some of these people.
I do, and I was talking to him. He was with Anne Margaret. We were at an event, and I literally just bust into the conversation, for real. I'm not kidding. And I said, listen, I said, you need to understand and know about Little Italy of Los Angeles. He goes, whoa, tell me more. And he was so excited to hear about it. He goes, I'm a kid who grew up in LA and I don't even know about it. People want to get involved. I mean, if you want to talk celebrity now, right? There's Travolta. I know he has a home here, but I don't think he lives here full time. It'd be great to get Coppola, Francis Ford Coppola, so rich with his history. Gaga.
You mentioned Joe Mantegna.
Oh, Mantegna, he's the best. He's a friend of yours.
Love
though, right?
Joe. Love Joe. He's a fratello, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
For
just
sure.
call him. I'm sure he could arrange Gaga for us. Right? But
even
other than that,
our own mayor's Italian too. We have to remember that too.
absolutely.
He's got a
Absolutely.
great story. In fact, Garcetti was once a Garzetti with a Z, but when his grandparents came to the States, they changed it to a C.
Oh, is that right? Everybody changed their name, right? My name is Zara, Zara.
Zara.
There's a lot of Zaras all over Italy. I don't know if they changed it. They say the origin is Spanish, so I'm not sure. Oh, that's great. So we've got a big reach. But also, I know on our next show so far, we booked, you know who Bruno Serrato is? Do you know him, right?
Oh, yes. Terrific guy. Celebrity
Great
chef.
guy.
Who gives so much to the community. He's got a wonderful program for feeding homeless children, and he's a terrific cook.
5,000 kids he feeds a day, guys. Not a week, a day. Homeless kids or kids that are impoverished in the area. I don't know how he does it. As I told him once, I can hardly get dinner on the table. Meanwhile, he's cooking for 5,000 people. We've got him coming on, and we also have a board member, Sarah Dowling.
Amazing.
She's the content manager for Italy. She's going to be joining us. We're going to kind of have a pasta show. And then also Carletta Panza. I hope I'm saying her name correctly. She's supposed to be calling us in from Italy. And we're going to be talking about all things pasta. What do we have there, Joe?
Well, took a quick trip to Italy.
Ah.
This message brought to you by Italy. Oh.
I love it. Who prepared you for that? Wait.
I just had it with me. But can you imagine
really?
having a smaller scale Italy here in our little Italy? I mean, we got to dream big and be bold, and that's
why not? Hey,
exactly what we're trying to accomplish, right?
Why not? And maybe, small fashionable stores that are all Italian based. I know a lot of the ladies and gentlemen would love that as well.
Yes.
Tell me if there's anything else you want to add before we let you go, because I know we're having a couple of technical difficulties. I promise we will do this again in studio where we won't have this.
Again, in Los Angeles, we are the mosaic of who we are as individuals and ethnicities and cultures. And this is what makes LA beautiful, right? And this region amazing. It's its people. And we're able here to finally have a place to call home, to welcome everyone to experience the Italian heritage. And we know in the next year that we can't.
Mike, do you want to pick up?
Sure. And so what I would say is that we want you who's watching this to be involved. We want you to come down to Little Italy, whether you're Italian by heritage or whether you're just somebody who loves Italian culture and food. Please visit our website at LILA.org, or just look us up on Facebook. Go on Facebook and search for Little Italy of Los Angeles.
It'll pop up. Also, we have a small donate. We also have a small donate button, like $5, $10. If you're so inclined and you want to contribute to what everyone is doing down there, great. Hard times, it's okay if we can't. We're going to keep going, and we're going to build this community to be strong. So, gentlemen, I thank you both very, very much for coming on. If I left anything out, let me know, because I will add that later on when I type up the description of our show.
Well, Deborah, let me thank you. I have just been so excited about your love and your engagement and excitement over this project, and the fact that you are Italian. And we know that you and John are always welcome in our home, and Mama Rosa, and we'll make you any Italian dish that you like. Because I know you're so far away from your hometown, but you're home here in San Pedro. And we are so grateful for you to share our story and promote our Little Italy district here in Los Angeles. God bless you. Viva America, viva Italia.
Oh, that's so kind of you. And by the way, please offer Italian lessons, because I will sign up. Okay. I don't speak very good Italian and I need to learn. So thank you. Guys, thank you both. We're going to post on there how we can donate, how you can get involved, and also some of our future projects and events that we've got planned once we're healthy and able to do that. So thank you both. We'll have you both back when we're able to do this again. And everybody, again, you will find this show on my page at Deborah Kobylt Live, also at the Little Italy Association of Los Angeles. It's going to be up on that page as well. Please, you could find these on Facebook, on YouTube, and also on all audio podcasts. It's Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and honestly, anywhere else that you get your podcast. Please, learn more about us. We're going to be a real vibrant community down there. It's already started. And we look forward to hearing from you. And gentlemen, both, again, thank you for being with us.
Thanks, Deborah.
For having us.
Okay, and thank you to our board, and we'll see you again in a couple of weeks for our next show. Everybody, bye-bye.